everybody, welcome back to Green Island. It's a beautiful February morning, unseasonably mild and the birds are singing. Lots of people often ask me which is the best month of the year to visit Green Island. The gardens are designed to look good all year round, but one of my personal favourites is actually February, and people look at me quizzically as though I'm absolutely mad, and then I go on to explain that February is when our national collection of hamamelis are at their peak. The ground is carpeted in a sea of snowdrops which we have split and spread over 30 years, and the garden is awash with the most beautiful, delicious, intoxicating scents from a myriad of beautiful fragrant shrubs. So this video I'm going to share with you my 10 favourite scented shrubs for the winter. So hamamelis are one of my favourite shrubs. We do have a national collection of them here, and often people ask which is the most fragrant one. Some people say Yelena, others say Rochester. There are various trains of thought on it, but in my experience I think the sweetest, most citrusy scents tend to come from the paler flowers, and my favourite is Pallida. We are well past the peak of Pallida's flowering now. She often starts whilst the leaves are still on her in November and goes through December and January, so we've just got a few little blooms hanging on. But they have the most beautiful, sweet, citrusy, spicy scent, which just lights up a January day. They come in different shades of yellows, oranges, reds, and as I said, we have a multitude of different varieties. They also have beautiful autumn colour, but for scent, they're absolutely fabulous. Chimonanthus praecox, or winter sweet as it's often known. Winter sweet because December, January, it emits the most beautiful, fragrant scent, reminiscent of gardenias. Most of the year, the shrub isn't much to look at. Fairly scruffy, tatty-looking shrub with large green leaves. But it is January that it really peaks. In fact, we're middle of February now and the flowers are mostly gone, but still the most beautiful fragrance. Again, another one that you can cut and bring into the house. Centre of the flowers have a sort of maroon middle and then these translucent yellow petals. It doesn't look that spectacular, but boy does it pack a punch with its scent. It really emits it beautifully. This shrub makes working in this bed during January an absolute pleasure. Again, another one I wouldn't be without. This is one of the best shrubs for winter scent. Sarcococca confusa, otherwise known as Christmas box. Christmas because it usually starts flowering then. It's a lovely rounded evergreen shrub with lovely glossy evergreen leaves, and then from about Christmas onwards, each stem is clothed with these hanging spidery white flowers which emit the most beautiful sweet honey scent, and it sends it over such a large area, up to 30 yards away you can smell this beautiful flower. It's great for cutting and bringing into the house, just a few stems and it will scent a whole room and up the stairs, and it really is one I wouldn't be without. It's a great plant as well because it's so easy to care for. It will tolerate sometimes the most inhospitable bit of soil and dark, neglected corner, often where nothing else will grow. And it will just sit there, grow and look green and glossy all year. And then in the winter, you're rewarded with this beautiful scent for a couple of months. I wouldn't be without it. One of the sweetest scented flowering shrubs in February is this lovely honeysuckle. Like its namesake, the summer flowering honeysuckle, it has white flowers, yellow stamens, and the most beautiful, sweet perfume, the same as that lovely climber, reminiscent of those balmy summer evenings, but here sending out its scent in a lovely February day. It doesn't make the most attractive shrub. You can see it's quite a scruffy, crossing habit, branching shrub, so best not to put it in the most prominent position in the garden. But for the month of February, it comes alive with these beautifully scented flowers. Again, if you pick a few and take them inside, they'll scent your house for a day or two. You might be wondering why there are so many scented shrubs in February. It's probably my favourite month in the garden in the year, and this is why. It's just like going into a sweet shop as a child and being overpowered with these delicious sweet scents. We might think that these shrubs are producing these lovely scents for our benefit as humans, but that's not the case. If you think about it, the winter months are the harshest months, often cold, dreadful weather, so there aren't many pollinating bugs and insects around. So for this reason, the plants that are flowering have to send a signal out to those few pollinators that might be around to say, come and see me, come and collect my sweet nectar. And so this is why the flowers in February are often emitting these beautiful fragrances. It does use an enormous amount of the plant's energy to produce these oils. So they only do it on the relatively warmer days. They don't produce the scent so well if it's a really cold, frosty spell. And that's why a lot of these shrubs flower for such a long period of time, often going through January, February and March, so that they increase their chances of having a few lovely days like this when they'll be able to attract pollinators to ensure that they get pollinated and produce seed effectively. If I had to choose just one shrub for winter fragrance in my garden, it would have to be this one. Daphne, bholua, Jacqueline, Postill. Lovely upright evergreen shrub and absolutely adorned with these beautiful clusters of flowers, pinky purple in bud, opening to this lovely pale pink colour, but emitting the most sweet, spicy, citrusy, beautiful scent for months and months. I can usually pick the first blooms for Christmas, and in a good year they're still going by Easter. So we get a good 3 months out of this shrub flowering. The scent is wafting all around the gardens, and Sarah Raven was once quoted as saying she believed that you should never be able to go more than 30 yards in your garden without smelling the perfume from a Daphne, and I have to say I agree with her. So we're furiously propagating more of these lovely plants and planting them all round Green Island. But I fear I'll be nearly on my deathbed by the time we've completed that. But never mind, in the meantime, this makes a beautiful place to just stop and sniff the air. It's beautiful. Daphnes are often quite difficult to get hold of, but we do sell them here in our nursery. They're available by mail order. And if anyone wants more information on these, I have made a separate video purely on Daphnes, so please do check that one out on YouTube as well. Viburnums are a huge group of plants, very versatile and excellent even for clay soils, which we have a lot of in Essex. The most commonly known ones for the scent in the middle of winter is one called Viburnum bodnantense, and usually the cultivar that's grown is Dawn, which is a slightly darker pink colour than this one behind me. This one here is called Debon, and it's much sought after. I think Monty Don mentioned it a few years ago, and we've been inundated with requests for it. It's covered in these lovely panicles of flowers. Oh, really, really strong scent. Some people almost find it too much, but in the garden, to me, it's delicious. It's quite clovey and strong, but it is pleasant. It is sweet enough. The flowers on Debon start with pale pink buds opening to this white and sort of give a cloudy, pale pink appearance compared to Dawn, which is much darker. Whichever one you choose, they both have a beautiful scent. This is a slightly more unusual shrub, one that you don't quite so often see. It's called Edgeworthia Chantha. It is related to Daphne, and you can see if you look at the heads of flowers, the shape of them are very similar to the Daphne, tubular in nature. And you can tell the scent is being given off by the amount of bumblebees that are adorning it already. It has a lovely smell, sort of reminiscent of cloves, but sweet. It's very, very attractive. This plant, it starts off in December with the flower heads that look almost like silver baubles, and then they sort of turn up and open out gradually. But at Christmas time, it looks like a Christmas ornament with all these silver shiny baubles all over it, which are the heads just waiting to burst into flower in February. Hello, Bo. This is another lovely shrub for February. A splash of colour with these lovely pink flowers, beautiful classic cherry-shaped flowers. It's called Prunus Chidori. Belongs to the cherry family, but it is actually an ornamental apricot. This one doesn't actually fruit very well. It would need a much warmer climate, but they are ornamental ones. They're not actual fruiting ones. But it's worth growing just for these beautiful flowers in February, which I think look lovely against the wall here. And they have a very delicate sort of almondy scented fragrance. I prefer to grow it here, trained against the wall, because it doesn't do a whole lot for the rest of the year. But at this time of year, when there's nothing much growing up in front of it, it makes a picture here. Sadly, this one's a little bit past its best. Abeiilm Disum, otherwise known as the white forsythia. And if you can see the flowers, you'll see they are very similar to the yellow common forsythia that's often seen around. It isn't actually a forsythia, it's an Abeiilm, and it, unlike a forsythia, has the most delicious almondy scent. Again, this one's capable of scenting a whole room. We often cut bunches of it and put it into the tea room for our visitors. For the most part of the year, like a forsythia, it makes a bit of a scruffy, nondescript shrub. But trained against the wall here, when it's in full bloom, it really is spectacular, and it just emits its fragrance over this little corner as the visitors enter the garden. Definitely a different one to try. Mahonias are another group of evergreen plants that are often overlooked. They get a bad press because they're often used in municipal planting schemes and not looked after very well. But it planted in a semi-shaded position. They have these lovely, architectural form, beautiful spiky architectural leaves, and then these lovely long panicles of flowers, delicately scented, of lily of the valley, a sweet, beautiful scent. They unfortunately don't cut terribly well. I'm so tempted to cut a few and bring them into the house, but unfortunately all that happens is the flowers fall. But so they're best enjoyed in the garden. These Mahonias, these cultivars, tend to have a tendency to grow up and up and up, with the flowers coming higher on the stems each year, to the point that you eventually can't reach them or smell them anymore, and they can look a bit scruffy. So I tend to prune ours on a 3-year regime, taking out the longest shoot each year, or once the shrub is huge, take out a third of the branches each year at the base, promoting it to send more up from the bottom. That way it keeps the plant looking young and rejuvenated, and it keeps the flowers occurring at a height that you can actually smell them and enjoy them as you pass. It's another favourite with the bees and the wildlife, so another excellent one to grow. Once again, thanks very much for watching our video. Please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We will be posting more videos over the coming months. Probably the next one has to be on camellias. They're just coming into full bloom, and after last summer, with all the rain, it's been a great year for them.